In the heart of a forgotten town, where the mist never seemed to lift, stood Blackwood Asylum. It was an old, sprawling building, its stone walls weathered by decades of neglect and decay. Originally built in the late 1800s, the asylum had once been a beacon of hope for those suffering from mental illnesses. However, as time passed, the hospital's reputation soured, and its history became shrouded in dark whispers and eerie legends. The asylum's decline began in the early 1900s, a period marked by controversial treatments and a growing number of unexplained disappearances. By the mid-20th century, the hospital had become infamous for its inhumane practices and the haunting stories that accompanied them. It was during this era that the most chilling events occurred, events that would ultimately lead to the asylum's closure. The crux of the asylum's dark history lay in its morgue. The basement of the asylum housed a large, cold storage area for the deceased, a place where patients who had passed away were stored until burial. The morgue, once a clinical space, became a site of terror when the asylum's practices began to draw the ire of both the public and supernatural forces. The stories of unexplained phenomena started circulating among the staff and patients. The first reports of hauntings emerged in the 1930s. It began with eerie sounds, distant moans, and the clanging of metal, which seemed to echo through the empty corridors. Staff members reported seeing shadows moving in the corners of their eyes, fleeting glimpses of figures standing still, only to vanish when approached. The most disturbing reports came from those who ventured into the morgue. They described the cold, oppressive feeling that settled over them as soon as they entered, and the strange, inexplicable noises that filled the space. Despite the growing unease, the asylum continued its operations. However, as the years passed, the reports became more frequent and more alarming. Several former patients and their families reported seeing ghostly apparitions of loved ones who had died within the asylum. These apparitions were often described as sorrowful, with eyes that seemed to plead for release from their eternal prison. The most unsettling of all were the stories of the morgue itself. It was said that the cold storage area had a malevolent presence, one that grew stronger with each passing year. People spoke of disembodied voices that seemed to whisper from the darkness, and a chilling breeze that would sweep through the room, even when there was no discernible source of wind. By the 1960s, the asylum's reputation was beyond repair. The combination of its grim history and the increasingly terrifying reports of supernatural activity led to a sharp decline in patient admissions. Eventually, the asylum was forced to close its doors. The final patients were relocated, and the building was left to succumb to the ravages of time. As the asylum fell into disrepair, the tales of its haunted morgue became the stuff of local legend. Ghost hunters and paranormal investigators would occasionally visit, drawn by the stories of the restless spirits said to roam its halls. Many claimed to have captured evidence of the supernatural, unexplained cold spots, mysterious orbs of light, and even footage of ghostly figures moving through the abandoned corridors. In the early 2000s, the asylum was featured in numerous documentaries and ghost hunting shows. The stories of its haunted morgue became a focal point, with many claiming that the spirits of those who had suffered within its walls were still trapped there, unable to find peace.